What's going on, everybody? David here. Today we're going to talk about how credit cards can improve your credit. But first off, on this channel, we talk about inspiring people to travel more using points. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the little bell notification so you can get future updates on my videos. Okay, so I want to talk about improving your credit. And there are a lot of us that are out there who have travel credit cards. And there's some people that are out there that are looking into getting travel credit cards. But sometimes if you get the top tier travel credit cards, you need to have a good FICO score and you need to have a good credit history. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how to improve your credit. So the first thing that you want to do is if you're young, get a credit card. And I know you want to do it responsibly, right? So you don't want to just get a credit card and start using it for all your purchases, but at least establish your credit as soon as possible. So if you're 18 years old, go out there, get a credit card, maybe a secured credit card. Don't use it. Maybe use it to buy a stick of bubble gum every couple of months, but that's it. And just use your normal spending, your normal spending habits. Don't use a credit card to buy things that you can't afford. And I would recommend don't even use your credit card to buy things at all. Just like I said, go buy a stick of bubble gum. Just keep the account active. Once you get that account going, that's going to start your credit history. And so if you're 18 years old, you start your credit history at that point. Then when you get to, let's say, 30 years old, well, that's 12 years of credit history that you'll have. So when you're ready to buy a house, you're ready to buy a car, you'll have a high FICO score, and that will give you the best interest rates when you want to make those purchases. So get a credit card as soon as possible when you're young, and don't use it. It's funny I say that. Get a credit card, but don't use it. Only buy a stick of bubble gum every 2 months. That's the best advice that I can give you. When I was young, I did get a credit card, but I wasn't that young. I was actually like 21, 22 years old. And I got one only because they were giving them out at my college. And that pretty much, they were giving them out. I got it only because I wanted to get a t-shirt, a UNLV t-shirt. And so that's why I got it. But make sure you do it responsibly, but get a credit card as soon as possible. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is credit utilization. So let's say you have one credit card and that credit card has a credit limit of $10,000, right? And let's say any given time you spend about $1,500 on that card, right? So you have $1,500 that's out there. And so right now your credit utilization will be 15%. You want to keep that credit utilization under 10%, and I would even say under 9%. You want to keep it as low as possible. So that's one of the reasons why, like if I have one credit card, that's where I'll be. Now, let's say I have two credit cards, and that second credit card that I have is another 10,000 limit. So now I've increased the credit that I have available to me. And if I'm still only spending $1,500 with those two cards, now my credit utilization is going to drop down to half, right? So now it's at what, 7,500 instead of, or 7.5% instead of the 15% that it was before. And so you can see how just adding a credit card will help you lower that credit utilization. And then also, if you spend less and you pay your bills on time, then your utilization is going to drop too. If I'm paying it off every month, and if I pay it off before they post, then it will also help my credit utilization. So some things to think about when it comes down to it, but you want that utilization as low as possible, and that will really help you out with your FICO score. Your FICO score will drastically change depending on how much credit that you're actually using. If you're up there in a 50, 60% of the credit that you have available, you're actually using, creditors do not like that. Your FICO score will really suffer because of that. So something to think about. There's two things to do. You want to get those payments down. So pay off your credit cards every month. That's what I always recommend doing anyway. But even if you're not paying it off every month, you don't want that much money to be on those accounts. So you want to pay it down as much as possible. And you also want to have other credit cards. The more credit cards that you get, and I'm not saying get a bunch of credit cards at once, but I'm saying over time, maybe 2, 3 a year, then your credit will gradually go up because your credit utilization will go down. So this brings me to my next tip. Pay on time every month in full. You have to do this. And I know I just talked about, payments. Like you might already have credit cards out there and you might have thousands of dollars on those credit cards. You've been paying it over time. So you need to focus on those credit cards first before getting new credit cards. But once you get that all situated and you don't have any more debt when it comes to credit cards, then if you get new credit cards, pay it off every month. I always recommend to people, get credit cards that will give you value. Credit cards that will give you value are cashback cards and travel cards. So cards that will give you points so you can travel, cards that will give you cash back so you can redeem it for cash back. So when you get cards like that, the interest rate is going to be really high. So you want to make sure every month you're paying it off. And my practice is every 2 weeks, I look at all my bills, I pay them all off. So I don't carry a balance. I don't ever carry a balance on those cards. So I'm not paying any interest. So I'm not giving any of those points. I'm earning points. Those points are currency. I'm not giving any of that back. So that's very, very important. So if you have credit cards right now, take care of those credit cards right now. Don't even listen to what I'm saying about getting new credit cards or anything like that. You don't need any new credit cards right now. Pay those credit cards off. And then once you do that, then you can start getting some new credit cards and really working on rebuilding your credit. Another thing that's also important too, creditors like to see that you have a mix of different credits. So you have credit cards, you have auto loan, you might have a student loan, you might have mortgage. They like to see that you have a mixture of different credit. So that helps your FICO score as well. So it's not just getting a bunch of credit cards will help your FICO score. It will boost you a lot faster, but they also want to see some other different loans that are out there and that you have. Okay, so to recap everything we talked about here, credit utilization is key. So you want to make sure you have that credit utilization as low as possible, and that you can help that by getting more credit lines. So the more credit lines that you have available, the more credit you have available to you will lower that credit utilization. As long as your spending habits are the same. You don't want to increase your spending habits just because you're getting more credit cards. That's the wrong thing to do. Also, try to get a credit card as soon as possible. So when you're young, get out there, get a credit card to establish your credit, and then that credit history is going to help you out in the long run. When you're ready to get a house or when you're ready to get an auto loan, you're going to have a high FICO score just because you got a credit card early and you were responsible with it and you paid it off every month and you didn't have any issues like that where you have late payments or anything like that. Late payments are going to hurt you, really hurt you. So if you get a credit card when you're young, make sure you don't have any late payments. And I tell you, you don't need to use a credit card. You shouldn't. At a young age, you need to even use a credit card, but use it just to keep it active. So you will have to go and buy some bubble gum or whatever to keep it active. So that's something that you're gonna need to do, but make sure you pay it off. Maybe even have it on auto pay so it'll automatically pay it as soon as it posts. So those are the things that I wanted to talk about when it comes to building your credit. And getting credit cards is a really valuable tool when it comes to building credit. And if your credit's gone bad, it's another way to expedite that process of getting your credit back up there by getting some secured credit cards and working with those and building your credit back up and then getting some other credit cards, because it will like we talked about, the whole utilization thing, which is a big percentage, like 30% of your credit. So if you have that utilization down low, that's really going to help you out, help your FICO score. So I just wanted to put that out there. The most important thing though, pay it off every month and do not have any late payments. Late payments are really going to kill you when it comes to your credit score. So if you can avoid having late payments, that's really going to help you out. But I want to know what your tips are. So please, down below, let me know what you did to get your credit up there or what you've heard works to get your credit up there. Please, in the comment section, let us know. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.